So this is just a quick video about a device I've made called the dog exploder, and this is made around a MP3 module called the DY-SV5W, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Dog Explosion is an artist from Nottingham. You can find his music on all the streaming services. He's absolutely wonderful, and I made this device as a birthday present, as a kind of lo-fi, maybe a busking toy. The sound you get from it is relatively lo-fi, but not bad. So there's a missile switch here, missile switch cover here, which reveals the on-off switch. So if I turn that on, and then from then on, the different buttons correspond to a song. So and you turn the whole unit off with the on-off switch. So each button will interrupt the song from there's one song which was previously playing, and the switch is mainly there to make it look like a for aesthetic reasons, but it's also there to stop the battery from drawing on the unit when it's not in use. So looking at how it's constructed, this is the DY-SV5W unit here. The way it works is you can use it with microcontrollers like an Arduino or something, but they've created a very rudimentary means of using it, in that there are, along the edge here, there are a number of terminals. And if you ground one of those terminals, then it will trigger one of the 8 samples that you can use from triggering those 8 different pins. So what happens is, say this white pin here will go to the white switch here, and then when you press the white switch, that then gets connected to ground, and the grounding is as a spare grounding pin as one of the pins on the right hand side of the unit here. There's a grounding pin for the power, and there's a spare grounding pin which makes it simpler to put this together. So there's a SD card which will hold up to 32 gig, which is a huge amount, and it's great that not only can you put MP3s on there, but you can also put WAV files. So there are the next part is that the next feature is that there is an output to a speaker. Now that's a mono output, and I'll talk about what this is used for in a bit. It's mainly used for toys and things like that, which is an amazing kind of processing situation for just making a toy make a funny noise. But there is also a stereo option in this jack here. Now, I've made an external stereo output, which I thought about and may end up being a bad idea, but I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So it's powered, it has a 5-volt power usage, and so this is 4.5 volts using 3 AA batteries. That's the back of the main switch. This is the speaker, which is a 5-watt 4-ohm speaker. So I cut out a recess there, which I thought would be really difficult. First of all, I drilled a load of holes in the front, and I'm just going to mount the speaker on the back. But the accuracy was quite difficult. And then I found that working with the aluminium with just a file and some bigger drill bits was much easier than I thought. So I kind of mounted it on the front. I think it looks fine. It fits the aesthetic to have the speaker on the front. So I think, so if I talk about the output, so just as a kind of a check and a proof of concept, I made the cable which has which has a jack plug, which would then go into the headphone output on the unit, and then comes around in this wire here and ends up with this output here. And I was thinking of not doing that. I wanted it to be kind of a standalone toy. I didn't want to overcomplicate it, but I put the signal through some monitoring speakers, and it just sounded incredible because it's a proper MP3 processing unit, and it may only ever get used once or twice, but if it does, it might be useful. But this is a bit shonky here, so this is an actual kind of probably this is going to be hard to. This is like a normal headphone jack here. I'm covering it with some shrink tube, which has been shrunk a little bit, and it's also velcroed to the side of the enclosure to try and just make sure it doesn't short against the side as much as possible. There is a danger that this will come loose and create a problem, but again, this is a toy. It's unlikely to be used in anything where being let down is a huge problem, but I think I've tried to mitigate that from happening with this Heath Robinson way of allowing access to an output. You might say that, well, could you not have unsoldered the jack socket? I think there would have been quite a high chance for me that I would have burnt out or melted some of the nearby traces where the SMD components are, and I just didn't want to risk it. It was almost easier for me to make this long cable situation. So so this is really I kind of wanted to find out what those modules were capable of, and it's quite interesting. Other things you could probably do with a very similar unit is if you wanted just one album, the access to one album in a fairly lo-fi way, you could, and only had 8 tracks. 8 tracks is the maximum for that unit. Then you could just make this and put 8 MP3s on there. Or if you wanted to, I thought, like, if you wanted all of the Clash albums, for example, plus a couple of extra ones, like, you could make each one of those into a long MP3 file per album, and then you would be able to break the tracks up, but you could play each one of the albums whenever you wanted to. You could make it into a desert island disc situation if you could work out how to put a solar panel on there, so you'd never need batteries. I don't understand that, but I might look into it. The module itself is quite interesting. Obviously, they're used for toys. There's Halloween toys that make a noise. It's also got a busy signal, which so when you press the button on those toys, it sends a busy signal to a relay or a motor, and that's why those toys can dance or kind of make Halloween movements in witches and things like that. I think it was a nice project. It didn't take a huge amount of time. I had already had the box, which is a Hammond. I think it's a 1590 double D, which I would normally use for a kind of a 3-button pedal, guitar pedal. The switch was from eBay. When they sell these, you can get the switch. You can get the cover on its own. You can get the switch and the cover, and you can get a switch, an on-off plate and the cover, but you can't use the on-off plate at the same time as the cover, so you might as well just buy a switch with the cover. These buttons were from eBay. The little speaker was from eBay. The module was from either Amazon or eBay. So they're all very readily available. I think that's probably all I need to say about this unit.